I was born without wisdom teeth. I can't understand Cronenberg's brain.
I can't either. I'm not gonna lie. So, why don't we why don't we listen to me give it a shot, figure it out. Listen, what you're going to experience in my section of this episode is listening to me as I was writing this script slowly start to figure some stuff out. Like it's
Yeah.
literally while I was writing it, I was like, oh, that's because of this.
I
found
love
a
that.
I found a lot of articles, but I have not read all of them. And even when I was reading them, I was like, oh yeah, like I get those things, but I feel like I'm missing something. Usually
Yeah.
I'm able to find like a YouTube video that explains stuff to me.
And we
And I
couldn't
couldn't.
find that.
I
Yeah.
couldn't find. So if anyone has something that's not us on YouTube, let me know. I'm here for it. So Crimes of the Future is from 2022, last year, and is about humans adapt to a synthetic environment with new transformations and mutations. With his partner Caprice, Saul Tenser, celebrity performance artist, publicly showcases the metamorphosis of his organs in avant-garde performances, and is directed by David Cronenberg.
Mhm.
Mr. Cronenberg. So I will also like in as always in our show notes, we'll have all those reviews that I found in like
Yeah.
explanations. So if you are like, what were you even saying? Totally fine. Also, our show is usually very serious. I'm gonna be a complete goofball, so just bear with me. In
That's
the
allowed.
in the hopefully very distant future, humans have evolved to no longer feel pain or much of anything, and illnesses are infrequent and pandemics are a thing of the past. And as someone who is currently COVID positive, that sounds lovely. In this painless future, surgery is the new sex. They say it a bunch. They want you to know.
They want you to know.
They want you to know that. Or like Kristen Stewart's like, it's the new sex. Like, girl, could
It's
you
like breathing so much.
just take several million steps back? She's so weird. I loved that for her. Honestly, I was like, this is
Yeah,
great.
no, it
This
was
is a
great
great role for
casting.
her. Mouth breathing all over the place. It was great.
Yeah.
An art form has arisen where one man, Saul Tenser, grows new organs and has them removed in an overly sexual way in front of an overly horny crowd.
Yep.
It's like everything is horny. These organs are perplexing because no one knows what they're designed to do or what to make of them. And I guess you could say he has a red thumb. You get it?
Uh-huh.
Because he grows organs instead of plants.
Yeah. And blood is red, so I do get it. I picked it up.
Thank you. My delirium. Cronenberg's future plays much into his aesthetic of flesh technology, and this future tech looks kind of primitive, and it's inspired by the earthen exoskeletons of insects or the creativity of the Flintstones. At one point, I was like, "What in the Flintstones is happening?" Because it felt very much like, okay, they found the bones of this dinosaur, and they
They made it into a
car.
robot. Yeah.
You know, like
yeah.
like the bird who like. So I was like, you're right next door. This is like if the Jetsons and the Flintstones were, they had
Combined. Yeah.
So Cronenberg is well known for his stomach churning and perplexing dives into society, our obsession with technology, and the outright filth that is humanity. And he gets a kick out of making you squirm, slicing up the body and modifying it into a forced evolution, which is like, that's what he's known for. He does other stuff too. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But it's like, I knew what I was getting into when I put it on. And Crimes of the Future is no different. It begs the question, is human evolution over, and will we need to adapt manually to give future generations a fighting chance? In the digital apocalypse, as we have discussed on a previous Ghouls episode during our Apocalypse series, shows us a world in which our evolutions are based in technology, our adaptations assisted by the digital world, and the machines an extension of our bodies.
Mm-hmm.
This blend of human and machine will become seamless, but that's not able to distinguish where the flesh ends and the tech begins, which is right up. Yeah, cyberpunk, but like, even like, yeah, it's definitely cyberpunk, which
like more fleshy cyberpunk.
Yeah, fleshy cyberpunk, where like they're not embracing the chrome future. They're trying to rely on like an antique future. It kind of reminds me of like Fallout. where they're
Yeah.
stuck, as if we like propelled ourselves forward in time, but from a further past. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. It makes sense to me. That's I was like, like if a long time ago we went to whatever.
I'm
I will
gonna
say
hype you
this.
up. You don't gotta worry about it.
Thank you. Cronenberg has always been really talented with practical effects, or like just actually making people do this, or getting really creative with like making it in the space. And in this film, there
Mhm.
was a lot more digital, like CGI happening. And
Mhm.
I saw this like the one of the only YouTube videos I found was like him talking about it. He was like very excited about this film. And he like they had this scene where one of the like exoskeleton things that's like the casket uh
Uh-huh.
like it like pushes in and then it moves, and he's like, you can see that that's not real, that's not a real camera, that's done in the computer. And I was like, yeah, we know that, David. Like it's very clearly technology, like it looks digital. But it was just so funny to see how excited he was to be like, that's not real. I was like, yeah. So
It's
after
cool.
seeing
I'm gonna
him
let him be hype about it.
yeah, after seeing him so excited, I was like, okay, this is just like he did all those practical effects partly out of necessity, also because it was like his way of doing things. Um,
Yeah.
but now he has like now in this new age, he has access to like updated equipment and technology, so he's gonna try out some cool stuff.
Yeah, he's gonna lean in.
Yeah, which is what, let him live his life. Um, Cronenberg's future isn't too far off from this envisioned future, only in that the changes do become genetic and affect the generations to become. So that digital future I was
Yeah.
talking about. Cronenberg's tech in this film is disturbing as always, and the devices are designed to support everyday functions, such as sleeping without pain or digesting easier while eating.
Yep.
The latter of which is a skeletal chair that rocks around and spoon feeds you. It's hilarious. It is the funniest thing. What a goofy contraption. And it
Yeah,
seems
it just seems like this is not what it would look like in the
like
future.
that cannot be helpful. You cannot convince me that that's something that someone enjoys. Like it couldn't even get into their mouth. Like they looked whatever. You can't tell me
Everyone,
that.
yeah, looked really uncomfortable. And I guess it's like in this world where people can't experience pain, but I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, you could experience agitation, which
Yeah.
is what I would be when it wasn't finding my mouth.
Yeah.
I want someone to share the science with me of moving yourself around and being all wiggly helps digestion. I want someone to find that article for me that motivated him to make that chair. Okay.
I do
Um,
wonder, yeah.
it seemed less than ideal, but had me thinking about accessible furniture design. Because I was like, there are things made to help people who are differently abled to just like assist them. I was like, which like it's kind of in that vein, but I don't think this is actually very helpful.
Yeah.
And this is one of the many themes explored in the film. But this technology, however, is a hedonistic pursuit rather than a purely practical one, because humans can't feel, and the world has been adapted around them to complement that, becoming numbing and catering to their any need, resulting in further comfort. And without the stressors and challenges of life as we know it, humans seek out more reckless and wild things for pleasure, including surgery or just good old slicing up your skin
Mhm.
with your friends. and,
Yeah.
embracing the orgasmic pleasure of your skin flesh being sliced up. So fun.
Yep.
And once humans have evolved past the basic needs, free of pain and suffering, our bodies become simply vessels, reduced to storage devices for our minds, which is like Cronenberg's favorite thing.
Yeah.
Um, and art, as we see it in this film, is the final pursuit of humanity. Imagine what we could create were humanity no longer to need. Like if we just no
Yeah.
longer needed anything, we just existed. I had this whole conversation with Kat about that the other day. Like if we just had all our basic needs met, imagine what cool things we could do, like the advancement in technology and like accessibility of the world and like art, if people just didn't have to survive. Like it'd be super rad. Yeah, I don't think it
Yeah.
would be this. This world,
Well,
I'm
yeah,
gonna say it's not this.
if anything, this world is like the opposite of that in my mind. It's
Yeah.
like you're watching humans evolve and you're like, "Stop it."
Yeah,
It's
that's super
very
true.
much like neurotypicals being like, no to anyone who's different. You know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
that I get. And then
Yeah.
or like just people just not being open to like differences in people and
Yeah.
being like, stop it. We're not gonna help you. You have to sit in this uncomfortable chair and eat food that
This
literally your body can't digest because that's what everyone does.
yeah.
Just do it.
And this world sucks. Like, anyway.
Yeah.
In an interview for the Canadian radio show Q, Cronenberg explains his fascination with humans and our connection to technology, saying, "The body, for me, is the essence of human existence. It is what we are, and everything comes from that, including technology. In the 1950s, technology was this inhuman stuff from outer space that threatened us, strange weapons and stuff like that. For me, technology has always been ultra human and a complete extension of what we are. Our fists become, missiles. So technology also becomes what we are, for the good and the bad. And you see it with every new technology. You see the internet, you see social media. It's wonderful and it's horrible. Horrible and horrifying. At the same time, it brings out the worst of us and also the best. So to me, it's just natural to go there. I'm diving into the essence of what we are and the essence of the human condition. And Crimes of the Future takes me there.
Hmm.
Sure. No,
Interesting.
it super does. It has that it makes sense. People can't feel they're weird now. So,
Yes.
Crimes of the Future follows Saul Tenser, who's a man with
Me.
or as Cat stressed, a man with accelerated evolution syndrome, which has him grow new organs with unknown functions, and his partner in future crimes, Caprice, who holds surgery performances to remove those pesky extra organs. And the film opens with a seemingly normal child on the beach, and we cut to this not so normal child later as he brushes his teeth, and he's clearly craving more than dinner. And with the strongest case of pica I've ever seen, he begins chomping away at the plastic trash bin near the sink. And there's
Yeah.
this foaming white liquid that seeps from his mouth, allowing him to eat this Willy Wonka furniture item. Um, his
Yeah.
mother is then troubled by this creature and unalives the boy as he sleeps. It
Yeah.
is like, what a way to start a film.
Yeah, with like so little context, and it took so long to figure out why.
Yeah, and not till like the end, and you're like, okay, but still, like,
Yeah.
but it also like her character makes a lot of sense because her character is essentially like people, like society not
Yeah.
wanting to like change. Anyway,
Oh,
um,
very much. Yeah.
yeah, we hear later as she leaves a message for her now ex-husband that she blames him for the creature and tells him to come get his son. And this father named Lang Dotrice does so and mourns the loss of his son. And this plastic-eating boy is incredibly important. And we later find that he is the next step in human evolution. And as Kat said, it takes a long time to get there. You start
Yeah.
out like, did that boy just eat that plastic? And then you're like, oh, he's dead.
Yeah.
Okay, what are we doing?
And not because of the plastic.
And we just cut to Viggo Mortensen in a really shaky bed,
Yeah.
grimacing in pain. Lang and his band of merry men have surgically changed themselves to be able to digest and consume plastic. And Lang explains to Tensor in a later scene that there had been a long hunger, a rumbling in his tummy that only plastic could satisfy. And
Yep.
these modified humans now eat Soylent Purple, a plastic protein bar
Yeah.
reminiscent of the bug bars from Snowpiercer, only much better for the environment.
Yeah.
And less gross, surprisingly.
Yeah.
Um, and Lang enlists Tenser's help to do a live autopsy as one of his shows, where they will dissect Brecken, Lang's son, and show that he is naturally evolved and has inherited the forced evolution his father underwent. Meanwhile, Tensor is working with a detective named Cope, who has a strange growth of his own that he never addresses.
Yeah. It's
He
never
like
brought
brings
up
it up,
again.
and they're like, "You should do something about that." And then it's like, and Cope, for some reason, doesn't want the world to know about the plastic eaters or the potential for future born plastic eaters. So Cope enlists the help of the incredibly uncomfortable to watch, listen to, and be around Timlin, played by Kristen Stewart, who swaps out Brecken's organs in an act of sabotage. Which, like, you learn, and I'm like, why? The
Yeah. I
ending
really didn't
felt
get her
rushed.
motivation because, like, she was like all about his organs. It's just
Yeah.
weird. It was like weird. I was like, why would you do that?
Well, she was also very like traditional.
That's
Like she
fair.
was like very by the book. You have to do it this way. Um I mean, he's an anomaly for sure, but, like, she loved that he, like, categorized all his organs and stuff, you know? She loves that stuff.
Yeah.
So to up to
I guess, like,
just
in her mind, for science, and then yeah.
yeah, I don't know. Timlin works for the National Organ Registry, which isn't it doesn't exist, but
Yeah,
they're
it's not
like
legal,
it's not
but
legal, but they're like, "We require that people, do this," but it's like, you can't require anything, you don't exist.
yeah. It's really
Uh,
weird, I don't know.
I don't know what it is. Designed to tag, tattoo, and document the new organs because of reasons, lest they wander off somewhere or end up in the next generation, like, I
Yeah.
don't know. And I'm not gonna lie, I don't 100% understand this film or any of Cronenberg's films for that matter, but I do what I can. And there's
Yeah.
quite a deal of subplots and missing exposition that make the film a tad difficult to comprehend with only one watch through, which is all we had time for. And other
Yeah.
than the government is evil theme, I can't understand why they would be so against plastic eating humans. Though I can't remember a time when the government or powers that be have been okay or on board with any change of any kind.
Yeah.
There's certainly a desire to keep things pure and controlled, and even Cope's neglect of his own abnormalities is strange and harmful. So caught up in maintaining the status quo, he's willing to ignore the growth, which could be very well end him.
Yeah.
It's like that's how like like dug into this narrative you are.
Yeah.
Um, and because humans can't feel pain, they look to surgery for pleasure. And humanity's current obsession or fascination with body modification aren't quite to this level, though there is a level of harm that plays into it. Ghouls, as I mentioned, covered American Mary and body modification the last time we had our New Year, New Me series. And in that exploration, we found that it's the motivations behind the modifications to be what mattered the most.
Yeah.
So, if you are changing your outward appearance in an attempt to please an outside force, such as the toxic impossible beauty standards, or perhaps a romantic partner, then we highly recommend against it. However, if your modifications are a desire to change your outward appearance to match who you are inside, then absolutely. In the
Yeah.
case of the plastic eaters, their motives are also somewhat beneficial. Imagine what we could do for the environment with some plastic eaters cleaning up the ocean.
Yeah.
um it'd be pretty rad. And for me, Crimes of the Future is an eco horror. The grim, dark, and prehistoric future is an omen, a warning, and also a hope. Though I felt the film was missing exposition and explanation,
Yeah.
like I could have done with like a title card, or just I
Yeah.
said to Kat, I was like, I really hope it. I wish it opened up the way Repo the Genetic Opera does, where it's just like this. This is the future. People
Here is all the plot.
loan out organs, and then they can get repossessed. And I was like, all right, I'm in. I got it. I got the background. I know what happens. I couldn't figure out anything. I was like, what? Why do people feel?
Yeah.
And
There's a
everything's
lot
so
left
scary.
unsaid for sure,
Ugh,
and then you just are pretty confused, and
yeah.
it's okay.
Yeah. The building felt really distant, like it's resting in Cronenberg's mind somewhere else, and it leaves us with the whispers of a society. We're made to pick up the pieces and puzzle together a world in which people cannot feel, organs grow willy nilly, and people eat plastic. And an
Yeah.
article on MovieWeb titled Crimes of the Future explained, dissecting David Cronenberg's new movie by Matthew Miller, and one of the only articles I actually read, features an interview with an industrial ecologist, Roland Geyer, who explains, at the current rate, we are really heading toward a plastic planet. At some point, we will run out of room to put it. And later, Chelsea Rockman, a professor of ecology at the University of Toronto, explains in that same article, some may argue we already have, and now it's found in every nook and cranny of our oceans.
It's
Mailer,
true.
yeah, it's everywhere. So Mailer goes on to stress the impact of the plastics on humans, saying microplastics are being discovered in everything from rice to tap water, shellfish to sardines. And in 2018, considerable amounts were found in human feces for the first time. Plastic is
Yep.
showing up in children's blood and in human placenta, which was gross enough to begin with. Um,
Yep.
which I completely agree. Ultimately, the film felt much like the artistic surgeries of this world, a performance and a warning. It explores the fascinating flaws of evolution while questioning our place in this world. If you can stomach the graphic slices and open wound makeouts that Cronenberg loves, then you may find the world fascinating enough to endure. I wish we'd spent more time with one or two of the threads rather than exploring all of them. At
Yeah.
times, it was overwhelming to keep up. and I couldn't tell you what the router and burst, like, what they were up to, or what the inner beauty pageant meant, though it is kind of ironic that the inner beauty pageant was still physical.
Yeah, it had nothing to do with who you were as a person and everything to do with your organs
Which
for
again is
whatever
like
reason.
a representation of this world. Like we
Yeah.
have all this time now we don't feel pain, now we don't get sick. We could just exist. And what do we choose to invest in? Like
Still
like
our flesh
slicing each other
prisms.
up. Yeah, like
Yeah, like,
so
why?
bizarre. Why would we do that? And I think that might have been the point. That's what I'm
That's
like,
yeah.
wait a second. The film is very Cronenberg, and for all its discomfort and moody glimpses into the future, it was oddly hopeful. And I'm all for the future of plastic eaters, of our chance to right what we've wronged and fix this planet. And let's see what kind of evolution we can force upon ourselves next.
But honestly, I just think not every film is made for us, and that's
That's true.
okay. And I think because of one, your trypophobia, and also my pretty vehement dislike of gore,
Yeah,
ironically, as being horror fans, Cronenberg is just not for us, and
we
that's
always be
totally
pushing
fine
our
because he
limits.
is for somebody. Somebody likes these films, and they're loud.
Yeah.
They're creative and weird, and there's something kind of magical about how weird they are.
Yes.
Like, this mind exists, and that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
But it's okay. They're not for us, and that's fine.
Yeah. I put this in the same camp as like, I'm really glad he went into filmmaking. You
Mhm.
know?
Yeah.
Like, there are certain minds where I'm like Stephen King, I'm like, I'm really glad he's wrote books, you
Yeah.
know? Where would he be? You know?
Yeah.
If he would like, I'm afraid. I'm afraid to know where he would have put that energy, where he would have put those thoughts if he didn't write them down. And if Cronenberg didn't put these on the screen, what would he be doing?
He'd be inventing flesh technology. It's
I
okay.
don't know. I don't know.
As
And
long as
he is.
it's
He's kind of inventing it on
allowed
screen. So
or consensual, I don't know.